Hey there, I am Magica, and in our last video we created the Route-one bird Pokemon inspired by the Juan-de-Bao. And in this one we will be making our Route-one-rodent and our PIkaclone. I am really proud of these designs, so I hope y'all like them. Let's start with a Route-one-rodent. I decided to make a Capybara inspired Pokemon for this line. I always wanted a Capybara Pokemon because we have so many of those around where I live. And like many other Route-one rodents, they are an animal that just exists all over the world. But I do remember when I was first designing this Fakemon a couple of years ago, I wasn't sure if I should use the Capybara for the rodent Pokemon or if I should make it into the PIkaclone of the region. Of course, I ended up using this adorable animal as an inspiration for the Route-one rodent. I tried to make it look like other Route-one rodents too, even though most of them were just like an animal. I did have a fun time figuring out how to make a Capybara feel like a Pokemon. And for that, I took a lot of inspiration from Bidoof. Since capybaras are always on the water, I thought it was perfect, since Bidoof is the only other rodent that evolves to have a water type. For Bubbara's look, I had to make it look as sleepy as possible, since capybaras are very well known for being the most chill species of animal out there, and they just hang out with anyone, completely unbothered. And that was also the reason for one of Bubbara's abilities, Unaware, since he's always too sleepy to even notice what's going on. Bubbara, the water rodent Pokemon. These little Pokemon are very calm and relaxed, usually found around shallow ponds and local rivers. Their behavior is so passive that they barely open their eyes. It is said that it's so relaxing to hold one that your worries will wash away. For Bubbara's evolution, I thought it would be interesting to make it the opposite of Bubbara. Just an agile swimmer, since capybaras are always near water and going for a swim. But early on in the sketching process, I realized that I also wanted to keep the chill nature of them. So I thought of all the abilities that let Pokemon change forms, like Schooling and Zero to Hero, which was the ability I wanted to pick for this Pokemon, since I pictured this agile form as a lifesaver. But then I remembered Darmanitan and its super cool hidden ability, Zen Mode, and I knew it was just perfect for what I wanted to do with this evolution. So I had to design two different forms for Aquibara. The agile form, or just the normal form, was inspired by the first one I had designed a while ago, but I never really liked the design or pose when I originally came up with it. But I liked the idea, a lifesaver capybara, always swimming and helping other Pokemon. So this time around, I tried using that idea but in a better way. So I gave them a few of the gears that lifesavers have, like huge flappers, those kids floaters, and the swimming goggles. All made out of water bubbles that it can create. I also changed the pose to be more dynamic and make it seem like it would be jumping out of the water or as if it was in the middle of changing course while swimming. And for the Zen form, I knew I had to continue with the sleepy theme. So I tried to sketch them sleeping in every imaginable position, and then the idea of them just floating around in a big floater came to me. And that was when I came up with this pose. Aquibara just unbothered floating around the battlefield safely on its huge bubble floater. And I just thought it was perfect. I also added a few details on this Zen mode and ended up changing a few of its colors. I like how they did that to Darmanitan, but when I first saw it, I thought it was a completely different Pokemon, and I still wanted the two forms to at least look enough alike. Aquibara, the water rodent Pokemon. While they primarily dwell in shallow water, their lung capacity is so vast that they can reach various deep sea floors. Their commonly selfless nature and great ability as swimmers often come in handy when other Pokemon are in trouble. When it enters its Zen mode, this Pokemon won't be bothered to do anything other than float aimlessly with the bubbles it creates. They will only return to their normal state after it faints in battle. For this next one, I decided to take inspiration from a little species of mice known as the harvest mice. They are this cute little species of mice that are found near crops all throughout Europe and Asia. And they're also known for being super photogenic, and that's because they're always choosing to hide and sleep inside flowers. And the moment I learned about them, my first thought was, this could be a Pokemon. So here we are. And looking at more pictures of the harvest mice, I figure it would be a perfect fit for an electric grass type or an electric fairy type PIkaclone. And since we already have the DNA as a fairy type, and honestly I think it's shocking we only have 3 Pokemon with that type combination, since the idea of turning solar power into electric energy is really cool to me. Now, regarding the design, this is the actual first Fakemon that is completely new that I have designed for this channel. All of the other Fakemon, I had a vague idea of what I wanted to do, or I had already an old design to work from. So for this one, I tried to keep it simple while sketching. I have noticed that most of the PIkaclones have a mostly simple design, and I tried to play with that. Another thing I wanted to show with this design was the fact that the harvest mice are always on flowers, and that started with me wanting to give them a flower on their tail or their lower body, but then I realized that they would look so much cuter with a flower for a hat. And for the crops that they are always hiding in, I decided to give them a wheat tail since that's small foreshadowing for its evolution. I really like how it looks, but the colors were the most difficult part for me. I ended up with these colors, but I am not truly happy with them. So I'll probably have to revisit this design later on. Shozumi, the tiny mouse Pokemon. Tiny and agile, this adorable Pokemon can be found near crops, using its tail as camouflage to go unnoticed while eating away. They are also commonly found in flower fields making their heads, and if the head is damaged, it becomes inconsolable until it makes a new one. I will start this one by explaining the names of the 2 Pokemons of this evolution line. All the PIkaclones until now have kept their Japanese names when the games and the TV show were translated into other languages, so this is what I wanted to replicate. The name of the first one is Shozumi because of the words shock and mouse in Japanese, and that's how you get Shozumi. And for the second stage, the chosen words to represent its name were lotus and mouse, so Rotazumi. I chose to use the word lotus for this second one because this Pokemon was inspired by another rodent called Jerboa. They are these species of rodents that have super long legs and an amazing hearing, and they can be found all throughout Asia and North Africa. So, a lotus seemed like the right choice to represent this evolution, since it's also the national flower of Egypt. And of course, I incorporated the flower onto the design as well. I saw the fluffy tails that Jerboas have as an opportunity to make Shozumi tail blown into a nice flower. There are a couple of problems that I found with this design even now that it's finished, and they are that I think it looks too much like its previous evolution without bringing anything truly new to it, which is usually a bad thing when you want to make people interested in evolving your Pokemon, and I am looking at the Palmy line here. And the other problem I have is that I ran into the same problem from its previous evolution. I couldn't figure out the colors, and again, I'm just not happy with them. But now that both of the evolutions are finished, I do like them, even thinking that I could have done a better job. Rotazumi, the mouse Pokemon. Rotazumis are rarely found in the wild since they only evolve from an intense bond with a trainer. They are excellent jumpers and use this ability to reach high places where they can absorb the most sun possible. And these are the new Fakemon for our region. What do you think of these 4? Would you add any of them to your team? Was there any of them that you really liked or disliked? Let me know in the comments, and I'm always so excited to hear your thoughts. And as a little side note, I want to thank everyone that has subscribed and has been watching these videos. We've reached 250 plus subscribers at the time of this recording, and I am immensely grateful to every single one of you. So thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss on any new Fakemon videos. See you in the next one!